Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Thought we'd try some silhouette kind of a lighting and just generally play around with it. I mean, I don't know what to say. But anyhow, Razak Olokwaba is my guest this morning. Great to have you. He's a rights activist, and that involves everybody. And we're going to be talking labor today because I guess we're in the middle of trying to avert a strike tomorrow, a nationwide strike. That's Labour has warned about that, and I guess we've been talking about that. The Ministry of Labour has been on it. We're on it yesterday. In fact, at that time, a bulletin came out that, look, how well that meeting goes when it was still a continuous tense thing, nice in the past, will depend, how well these talks can go. Maybe we should find out how well we're doing, how well we're doing down the path of averting the strike. I know the issues are tough. It's all about the minimum wage. Labour says, no, we want everybody, just abide by the agreement that we have. Let everybody, pay to everybody. But apparently government is saying that we've got to stagger it a bit. No, but you give us your overview.
It should be unfair and inhuman for any person in the country today to say that salaries of civil servants, particularly grade level 1 to some levels, should not be paid attention to. The welfare is what people carry about all over the world. When they say most Nigerians live on $5 per month, $2 per day. So, and it goes on and on like that. So nobody will be part of the argument that we should not pay attention to them because the welfare is actually pathetic. But intention at times doesn't matter. Intentions goes beyond wishful thinking. You must demonstrate that you understand that terrain of what you are about to do or the demand you are making. You must show the capacity that you know how to go about it. And why am I saying this? That both the government and the Labour from 1999 to date are just traumatizing Nigerians. These agitations year in, year out has turned to serious trauma. If the strike starts tomorrow again, I'm not in the civil service. Millions of them are not in the civil service. So they use their inabilities to sort out this package for workers. They use their inability to disrupt the affairs of other Nigerians. Organized salary started in 1978 in Nigeria. Before that time, before the Indoji of 1975, there was no organized structured salary that time. It's fluid. What you can afford, you can pay that time. But Asan Somonu came in and did an organized salary structure. And in 1981, there was agitation for salary increase from 300. They ended up at 125. So all these experiences, Oshiomhole was involved. Even Pascal Bafuyao, he was almost the deputy of Pascal Bafuyao. There were a series of salary increases that time. So we had expected that in 1999, this experience would come to play when Oshiomhole emerged as the NLC president. But as civil society, we engage the labours that the universal pattern all over the world is that the salary of a worker is one of the welfare of the worker, but it's not the only way to improve the welfare of your workers. There are other issues that you can take advantage of. For instance, labor should be involved with the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, the price control, so that you will know the actual price of production of any product in Nigeria. Essential products, all legitimate transportation, the food you eat, housing, rent, so that you will then agree that this salary is sufficient to survive a worker for 30 days. Then you don't determine if it is not that, no, there should be increase. 1990, they are not doing that. The only thing they kept engine on is salary increase. And it comes the nonsense of it. Immediately the salary increase came on board,
Market prices
goes up. That is
neutralizing whatever.
That shows that the labor does that just to arouse the tension in the country, to give an appearance that they are doing something. And for us, we engaged the labor that time, the JAF, Joint Action Forum. We later formed what is called LASACO, Labor and Civil Society Coalition. each time we engage labor, this is the direction we point the attention to that. No, don't be talking about salary all the time. And the government has its own fault. The fault of the government is that government must create a template where neutral forces who don't have stake in the discussion should be able to point out the challenges and the limitations of labor, the challenges and the limitations of the government. That government, these are things that you are not doing. Labor, these are things you are supposed to do that you are not doing.
Maybe that's where Dr. Ngige is going, because you look at the reports. Ngige is like pledging that I'm neutral. That is to say, I am for the Nigerian worker, whatever that means.
That's not good coming from him.
Whatever that means. Maybe the way I read it was that, look, don't think that sitting down here I'm against you because we are government and government has a set position.
Those are part of the problem the government have. The courage to talk about the capacity. Because the bottom line is capacity. Now, salary, grade level 1 to 6, government says that there's the capacity. But above, there are some of the directors that earn 400,000. If we define everything at the end of the day, human being, we are all human beings. Either you are a cleaner or you are a director. So it doesn't make sense to now say that for people earning 400,000 naira, you are still demanding for the kind of percentage increase someone who is earning the old wage that is coming to get 30,000 naira. Are you saying it's fair? And you now base your argument that if I don't get equal amount of money, a percentage increase, there will be strike tomorrow. And that's the area that the government lacks the courage. The government must be courageous enough to tell the labor and Nigerians that this is the situation we find ourselves, that we can't pay. The fear that the labor will go on strike is what compels government to enter into a panicky agreement at times, which is what they want to enter into again. The panicky measure. But before that panicky measure comes in, things that they are supposed to do before it gets to the point is to break the entire issue down. And labor, NLC should be careful. Look at what is bedeviling us now. There are things that the NLC are doing that many of the companies are not happy about. That you cannot continue the old pattern. Increase in salary year in, year out gives the impression to us that as a nation, we don't know what we are doing. It's not about salary increase. Staff, civil servants in Nigeria deserves to live in a good apartment. What's the mortgage plan? Is Labour talking about mortgage plan for them? Is Labour talking about the education plan for children of civil servants? They are not doing all those things. Year in, year it's all about salary increase. And that is why ASU is also having their own problem too. ASU has been polarized now. And mark you, if Labour continues this pattern, they will also be polarized. And there's even a low-scale nest that looks like another a platform that is really is again. So they must be guided. Tomorrow's strike is completely needless. And what the government should do on this one is to bring out the fact sheet, which I think they have done. The Labour cannot say and must not say that they must not pretend that they not to understand the incapacity or capacity of the government. They can't pretend not to understand that.
Okay, maybe this, I don't know. Do you think that's or they just took it away? There was something that Dr. Kade Fayemi was saying, don't confuse minimum wage increment to a general wage review. As you know, in Ekiti, they have pledged to go ahead and pay it, and it's not the first. The governor of Kaduna was the first. Now, how do you read, especially Fayemi's warning? They say, look, don't consider the wage increase a general sort of an increase.
Well,
because they are paying. We're talking about capacity.
Yeah.
Apparently, between him and the Kaduna State governor, they've sort of cracked it.
I know that there are other states who are also willing to pay. But because, like for instance, Lagos now, I know Lagos will be willing to pay. But Lagos has been thoroughly accused, severally accused of demonstrating muscle when it comes to finances. That why is it that you are the only person coming to the front all the time? Is it because of the financial muscle you have? So Lagos states like Lagos are trying to be careful. Now, let me see what other states are doing. Let me see what the federal government is doing. So it will not appear as if they are the rubbish other states who may not have the capacity. So I know that states like Lagos will also pay, want to pay. I know that other states that are well-to-do like so will also be willing to pay. But the bottom line is that we don't have any other nation. We must not start what we cannot finish.
Okay.
For me, the traumatized sector of the civil servant is what I lend my support to. For people who cannot even transport themselves from office to their house 30 days of the month, not to talk of other welfare of feeding their salary, feeding their wife, their children. Those are the people that have my concern. Other people that are a bit comfortable at the moment, we know the pulse of the federal government. I know that international labor law says that your salary should be able to feed you, your wife, and 4 children. That's the standard, and that is what you must strive at. If going by that, the other levels of civil servants who are well-to-do, I think because of the exigency of the situation we find ourselves, there's a need for labor to show understanding, and they don't have to be lazy again. They have to get down to work.
That is to, when you say, I don't know how appreciative labor will be when you talk about, but what you're effectively saying is labor needs to get much more creative in its thinking, as opposed, maybe, well, laziness is one
These
thing.
alternatives are available to them.
But
it is more tedious, more tasking and time consuming to start getting involved in price control. It is more challenging to start getting involved in production prices of essential needs of Nigerians. It's more tedious and more time consuming. So the easiest way the laborers find to do is to continue to harass the government day in, day out for salary increase. And that's why I'm saying that they don't have to be lazy again. And they have to be more creative.
Even at that, I know that there are still arguments going on as to whether or not it would be sustainable.
That's part of my point too.
Which goes back to the capacity issue that you were making. Bobby in Jalingo, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
And my regards to your honorable guest over there.
Razak
Good morning, sir.
Uncle Yori, we have on each of the sides, one from the government side and the other from the labor side. Uncle Yori, just like the way your guest is actually talking, that's the real thing. The labor are not helping matters, sir. If there's a way they can actually stop this, they want to create another big problem for the people of this country. The minimum wage can be implemented, sir. If we can cut the cost of living. That's to the other side of the government side. But the main problem is if there's a way this thing will be cut off tomorrow, Nigeria's economy is dwindling, sir. If labor are going to go into a different strike tomorrow, what do you think will be the fate of the poor person that cannot even afford the former 18,000 naira minimum wage? It's just terrible. Let's go back to the basics and do the right thing for the future of this country, or else God will punish us one day. May God bless you, and thank you for everything too much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bobby, for calling in. Well, I suppose this is the contrasting pools that we have. Labor, is doing what it should be doing, although, as you and Bobby have said, maybe labor needs to add other things to the arsenal beyond a salary increase, because as everybody knows, any salary increase for the sake of salary increase, in fact, if you're not careful, you could end up being in a worse position than you were before.
But that's been the pattern.
Because prices could easily outstrip.
But that has been the pattern. If you remember the 78, when the salary structure actually began during the time of Azan Somono,
yes,
that has been the pattern. 1978, 1981, from 300, that the demand was 300 in 1981, they got 125. Then during Pascal Bafiao too, it goes and on and on and on, and that in 1996 it was 5,000. They demanded 5,000. It came down to 5,000. That has been the pattern. And since that time till date, till 1999, we thought that Oshiomhole should be guided. The labor, our guys, our comrades should be guided by that experience that each time they call for salary increase, prices of commodities skyrocketed.
In anticipation.
And it comes back to taking a step forward and 10 steps backward. We should stop traumatizing our workers. We should stop traumatizing Nigeria.
Yeah, but when we do these labor talks and high commands and summits and all of that and meetings with government, it's usually with organized labor.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, organized labor is not the main labor. Maybe that's part of my ignorance, but there's so many people that are just watching everything going on, and of course, nobody's speaking for us, so we shall speak for ourselves when the time comes.
Well, the content of organized labor, it doesn't mean that people who are not in the conventional structures of labor, like people who sell pepper, like people who sell, should also be part of the concern of labor.
Yes.
Like the prices of commodities in the market should
be
part of their concern. That
like you got a flat tire now.
Yeah.
Very soon they're going to be telling you that, sorry, it's 2,000 naira per patch.
That's the point I'm even making is that even the prices of commodity that farmers sell a tube of yam should be a concern to labor. That what is the production price? Is it the appropriate price that a farmer should be selling price, such that labor should demand for a kind of subsidy for farmers. So those are areas. So
subsidy as opposed to
no subsidy for farmers in the sense that prices of food will come down, such that those are part of the essential commodity that I am talking about. Then go into transport too. That what is the origin price of prices, the train system, how it runs, how does the public transport run?
Which would
what is the price?
all of these kind of devices would indicate, as you were putting it, a much more creative approach
Yes.
than a straightforward.
But
this is the percentage.
They are
increase in your
aware,
salary.
but because it's time consuming, it's more tedious, it requires a lot of sacrifice. They don't want to be involved in it. And that's what informs my own language. That since they maybe whether they are lazy or not. So when you say creative, so they should be doing that. Nigerians are smarter than are more knowledgeable.
Let me bring in Mr. Dewi in Abekuta. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, Mr. Dewi.
Great to speak with you again.
Same here.
It is time we tell ourselves the truth. Are you listening to me, please?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Nigerian labor should pursue meaningful program for the welfare of retirees that are dying daily. That's a pursuit of increase. In fact, they should put that aside for now. I read the Punch of Saturday, page 48. On this new pension issue, retirees have no hope. Go to other climes of the world where pension really works. You find people before they retire, some have retired spanning 1 year, 6 months, 7 months. A dime has not come their way. Are you following what I'm saying? The obscene opulence of PENCOM and pension fund administrator is difficult to really understand when you look at the pitiable side of retirees in this country. Retirees are go to PENCOM headquarters in Abuja. It's more sophisticated than Central Bank. Central Bank does not have the facility PENCOM headquarters has in Abuja. What are we talking about?
Okay.
Where do they get such money? Is it not from the sweat of retirees? So please, it is time we go back to the drawing board. A revolution is in the making. If retirees welfare will not, is being pushed to the back burner.
Okay.
Please, it is not the issue of new salary for now. They should put on their gap and go back to the drawing board and pursue meaningful welfare package for Nigerian workers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dewi, for calling in.
God will prevent us from the anger of the elders. When he's talking about elders revolution, I say, no, elders revolution is not a good thing for the nation.
You know, yeah.
The way things are going now, you will see that
and we have to get these talks over, workers. Because don't forget that we have some milestones. I mean, this whole thing is supposed to be sorted by April.
Yes.
April next year.
Yes, that's
and the minister has said that whatever we're going to agree, we have to make haste and get those agreements. Is it before the end of November?
Yeah, November, yeah.
Yeah, November. It's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. And it's also pointing out the challenges of December that some workers are not being captured by the biometrics.
That's another problem. Biometrics.
That-
In fact, so much so that it is being said that some workers might not even get their December salary.
Biometrics is not it's not an error-free process.
Let me come back to
be
you because
emphasized.
I don't want to lose out on Mazi Okorafor, who is calling in from Arochukwu. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, sir. You're a good morning, I guess, in the studio.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, you see, sometimes when I look at this labor issue, I start looking at it as a chief issue. Now, you ask yourself, labor, when you see them, are they talking on behalf of the civil servant, the public servant, or for the government? Now, you start asking yourself, who voted all these people in? Now, every day they say they are going to fight this and this to discuss salary. Now, you ask yourself, what was their main motive of being in the office? Is it not for the benefits of the masses, the public servants? Now, the public servant, if you go to states now, see what's happening in states. There are two factions. Some of them will belong to the government, that the ruling party. Some of them will belong to the masses. Now, how will you achieve the set goals or the objectives of the labor force? That is, now, you ask yourself, this old 18,000 naira of colonial days, people are still collecting up to today now. The same bag of rice they used to buy that 18,000 naira, that is the salary, now announced down to 22 to 25,000 naira. That even the 30,000 naira if they pay you cannot even cover a bag of rice and the tomatoes and the meat attached to it for the house. Now, school fees are there for the workers. Medical care are there for the workers. Transportation fare are there for the workers. If some of them are rating, and I look at the way flood are just ravaging so many areas. I don't know whether the labor authority people, whether they have sympathy of the workers that they say they represent. And that is why I should see people that all this of election for labor people now, they should look for people that are ready to carry the masses along, not for people that will enter there and start looking for their own. Look at their tummy when they are talking. You don't know whether it's their tummy talking or whether their mother is talking. This is the issue. And the masses, they should be looking at it. Start asking, do the masses have paid? If somebody is working, maybe you have been paid 170,000 naira a month, and you have been taxed, you are collecting from maybe around 20,000 or 25,000. How much is left? Maybe you have other expenses that you're supposed to pay. So the labor authority, even the 16 that they say they strike, I look at that, we say Johnny just come at 16th of October strike. Because if you look up things, my Oga Yuri, there's a question mark on this issue because the labor, they should go and talk about the masses. Not to go there and take tea and come back and say, yes, the talk continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mazi, for calling in. You know,
because you know that a statistic has shown long ago that 75% of Nigerian workers seek for unconventional means to complement their salaries. What led to it is what he has said, that salary cannot take you home. And that should be the area the labor should be addressing.
Salary cannot take you home, and nobody is looking out for me.
Yes.
Let me look out for myself is the notion
Yes.
that is had. And this is part of what you have been speaking to and that Mazi Okorafor was also speaking to. So
yes.
whose side is labor on? Go.
No, the labor is giving the impression that it's busy taking the bid of the workers. Whereas they are compounding it. We have said that it's a complication if you demand for salary increase day in, day out, because that pattern has happened over 12 times, from 76 to 81, throughout the Pascal Bafia's reign, throughout Oshomole's reign. That's been the pattern.
And nothing has really benefited.
It's a trauma. And the country at the moment is not as strong as it used to be during the Indogene time, during the military era. The economy has really affected the health of the nation. So if you embark on strike tomorrow again now, God forbid bad thing. If we don't know. So we call on laborers. Let's do the needful. Let's begin to take our attention away from salary increase all the time.
Okay.
The essential needs that a labor needs to survive. He needs to pay school fees. He needs to transport himself. He needs to feed himself. The mortgage of a civil servant or public officer or Nigerian workers. Those are areas that the laborers are expected to look into. And we, the civil society, we've been telling them this. We've engaged them. We've formed a coalition, and we've over the time we have debated these issues with them. They agreed, they admitted that, of course, it's right. Only for them to come up again with another salary increase. So I don't know what is coming out of it, but my own impression is that they just want to create that notion that they're on the side of Labour, whereas they are not.
Okay.
They are not on the side of Labour.
Well,
they are not on the side of the nation.
Well, as a matter of fact, it'll be interesting to hear another viewpoint. And actually, you rights activists, two of you comrades should have been with us together. So we'll take what we can get. So we started off with you. We'll go to a break now, and when we come back, we'll actually have two comrades in place because Comrade Nelson Ekujimi is also waiting on the wings. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, or thanks for joining us if you're just arriving. And let me say quickly, good morning to Mr. George, who I understand has been waiting. Let me not waste any further time. Carry on, Mr. George. Oh, I lost you. I tried not to waste any time at all. That gives me a bit more time to sort of introduce a bit more fully in the sense that Nelson Ekujimi, a lot of people know him as Comrade Nelson Ekujimi, rights activist and public affairs analyst, has joined Razak Olokoba. They do pretty much the same bag. That one also is a comrade. Nelson, it's good to have you on.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for coming.
No problem at all. Well, actually, there is more problem, but that's what we say in Nigeria. No problem at all when there's a serious problem. In that same way, this negotiation that's going on here, we can't say no problem at all.
Yeah, we can't.
We cannot.
We cannot, yeah, that's very true.
So, and what we're doing here is that the last thing we want is for Labour to say that, sorry, we warned you guys before, strike commences tomorrow. So that we don't want it to get to that. We don't want it to get to that level.
Yes, and one expects that Labour itself is conscious of the economic state of the country and that they will not want to do anything that will jeopardize the economy further. But be that as it may, I think it is important for all the parties going to that negotiation table, to be sincere with themselves and to be ready to give and take, which is a tenet in negotiations.
How would you address the whole question of sustainability? Because that's what everybody is saying. That one word, call it what you want. Call it capacity, call it sustainability, because some people have actually paid it. Ekiti has said, we're game. And before that, El Rufai in Kaduna.
Yes, there's no dispute about the fact that the minimum wage of 30,000 has been signed into law in April by the president. But the main area of concern of dispute now is the consequential adjustment. The level 1 to 6. They are
again. That's a done
deal. That one
deal.
is settled.
Yes.
It's a done deal. It's the 7 to 14, then 15 to 17. That is where there's this disparity. Labour is coming with the 29% increase for 7 to 14, while the federal government is offering, 11%. Right now, I heard that Labour has, soft pedal, they've back pedal to maybe 27%, while for the 15 to 17, Labour is asking for, 24%, which they have increased it to 25, and the federal government is, offering 6.5%. Be that as it may, I think the federal government is being careful not to put the hand of everybody in the cookie jar, that at the end of the day, some of the states might have difficulty, meeting up to their responsibility. And
because it's clear that, I've mentioned two states, Ekiti, which might be a surprise, but, Ekiti, and before them, Kaduna.
Yes.
And not all states will actually be able to physically afford. The physical money is not even there.
You recollect what we went through even before we arrived at this 30,000. You remember the back and forth between, even at a point in time, the Governors Forum came into the picture and, the Labour movement said, no, you don't have the powers to do this. But, it is important that as they go to the table again today, that the spirit of the olive branch...
Well, actually, they've been there from yesterday as
yes, they are resuming back again today.
And right into today.
Yes. So we expect that, they'll be able to come to an agreement.
Okay. Let me quickly bring in Yakub so I don't lose him. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, it's very good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
And very good morning to the two comrades in the studio.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Yakub.
In fact, I totally agree with Comrade Razak. You see, this Labour, as the way they are going about this thing, Nigerian citizens will be so tired of them. You see, Tijori, the 18,000 naira that they were already paid from state government still for this money. How do you go to this thing is, for me, I may be wrong, I may be right. It is not realistic. See, if they go to that meeting today, and then the federal government, quote and unquote, agree with them to pay them 30,000 naira minimum wage, Tijori, you are going to see a fight. Because some states they can never be paid, and they will never be paid it. Because they are not able to pay that 18,000 or talk less of 30,000. Let's take labor on. Our road is bad. Have you seen labor to threaten the Nigerian federal government that we are going to go on strike if you are not put this road in order? The NEPA, they sold the NEPA to the Genco, Disco, and everything. They are not giving us right. Have you ever seen labor threatening the Nigerian government? If you don't take this one cent from these people and give to the people that can be able to give us life, we are going to go on strike. We are in this country, one of the senators made mention that they are taking 13.5 million running costs every month. Labor did not see anything bad in that. So threatening the Nigerian government that we are going to refuse, what is this 13.5 million running cost? But they are not asking for stipend, 30,000 naira. Today, as one of the callers say, I want to the minister, the government that comes, Mato Kowabo. He said something that they are very germane. The right today is 22,000, 80,000 naira. Yes, we agree. The closing border, yes, very good. Very good. It's welcome development. If we can be able to sustain this, as time goes on, we are going to see more rights. But what labor is asking for today, 30,000 naira, if we take out 22,000 as case may be or 18,000 as case may be to buy rice, what is with me? Your children is going to school. You are going to pay school fees. If you go to public school today, if you don't take your children go to private school, there's no fear for the children to school to sit down to learn in a conducive environment. Labor does not see anything bad in that. They are not going to strike on those things. Our aid, what is the budget of aid on this 2020 budget? Labor did not say anything about that. Because if you collect 30,000 naira, God forbid, you have email that is going to take almost 250,000 naira or 250,000 naira. What is 30,000 naira? You cannot be able to go to the one that you are taking 30,000 naira when you are covering for almost 250,000 naira email. Let me tell you this. All these labor leaders, they are going to that negotiation. In fact, I'm right. Let me say that. Let me don't say I'm maybe right, I'm maybe wrong. I'm right. They are going there for their own selfish interest. Because as time goes on, if Nigerian government did not agree with them, they will not begin to bargain and backlog that what is going to come to me personally. Because we have been seeing, as Dr. Kolokoba said, it has been happened again and happened again. There's not any achievement of any good thing. Tijori, I'm telling you this. If labor go on strike tomorrow, I can tell you some labor people, they will break out of that meeting and then they will continue to go to the job. Because Nigerian citizens, our economics, as one of the guests said earlier, our economics is suffering a little bit now, and then it is about to stable the economy, and then want to go on strike. Based on what? Based on 30,000 naira. It is absurd. Good morning and God bless you.
Indeed, thank you very much, Yakub. That's a sweeping indictment of labor,
yes.
and I don't know the extent to
It's
which it
really
represents the
it's
frustration
really
of the ordinary.
Yakub has succeeded in telling us that there are things in the society that they are umbilical cords. The road you mentioned, many people may not look at the relevance.
Of course,
but for
relevant.
farmers who go to farm every day, the cost of transportation to finished products, farming, proceed from farms, is the reason why we have skyrocketing prices for our foods. And that's the link.
Okay,
it's an umbilical cord.
Mr. George that I lost the other time, I think he has so kindly called back in. Thank you for calling back in, Mr. George.
Thank you, Uncle Yori, and greetings to everybody there.
Sure.
Good morning, sir.
Uncle Yori, each time Labour threatens to strike, they amuse me. They give the impression that Labour is all about going on strike over payment of salaries. That's not what Labour should be doing. In fact, if they were wise, they would not be asking for increase in salary, but enhancement of allowances. We are always saying that the National Assembly is taking so much money, they take so much pay. The money is not in salary. It is in the allowances they earn. That is why whenever you challenge them, they are happy to bring out their pay slip to show you. But the pay slip only shows you the salary, which is less than 500,000 naira for a senator. The allowances they earn is not in that pay slip. Labour should be wise enough to be talking about allowances instead of increasing salary. What they are asking for is unreasonable. What is our GDP? What is our earnings? You know, vis-a-vis what the government spends the money for. Do they want us to be paying labor, or the labor that is less than 10% of our population, or what we earn from the oil money? After all, is it not labor that connives with politicians to loot our money? They should address that one. I have never heard Labour talking about.
Labour is really getting a whipping this morning.
But that is the truth, Uncle Yori. There is no politician that can succeed in stealing government money without the connivance of the civil servant.
That's correct.
So if the government, if the Labour were to be wise, we're talking. I've not heard Labour, addressing the problems of pensioners. There are some pensioners that for 5-10 years they are not paid anything, and they are suffering. Are they not also part of Labour? Shouldn't Labour talk to people like that? Jakub and the elderly man from Abeokuta have already spoken about what people suffer in the economic downturn of the country. Is Labour oblivion of that? Can't they talk about what can benefit the people? They are only talking about what will benefit themselves.
Okay.
I'm tired of Labour.
All right then. Well, thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George.
Labour may not want to.
ASU is part of it. ASU has also made this point in previous discussions with them that it's not all about money. It's about, I think even the doctors.
It's about ASU have their own challenge. They are not totally different from what we are saying about NLC2. Why must the negotiation be based on the career of your students? That if you go on strike, there should be other ways of getting back to government, sending it to get a message across. That's jeopardizing the career, and that's what the new
or the lives of patients in the case of the medical sector.
The university unions are saying that no, we can't be jeopardizing the life. Port Harcourt, I think Unilorin and a few universities are trying to pull out of ASU now, but NLC will not advocate for increase of allowances because check-off dues. Their check-off dues is based on the wage you earn, the minimum, the actual wage that you earn. So if the allowances are increased, the check-off dues they will collect from workers will not necessarily increase. Affected. So that's the style.
Nelson, do you come along with that line of argument?
That's the technicality.
I mean, it looks like there's so many cul-de-sacs that we encounter. Whereas on the one hand, Mr. George was saying that, leave the salary, look at the allowances. But Razak has just pointed out that, well, I don't know how vigorously Labour will support that simply because of the whole check-off issue.
Well, it's unfortunate that people are expressing their anger this morning via the telephone lines with regards to the issue on the issue we're discussing. But we must recognize the fact that some of these issues that people have pointed out, Labour does not have the rights or the power under the law to go on strike over it. The issue about our roads, it is not a Labour matter. Labour can only go on strike with regards to what is contained in the laws and regulations governing employment. Those are issues that Labour as a body can raise issues about. Like, look, government, if these roads are in this state, this is the consequences, just like other unions do. Like we have the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, regularly they come up with bulletins. You have the Lagos, the Chambers of Commerce and Industries. So Labour can also join in that regard to raise issues concerning areas that affect the citizens. But we must educate our people. Labour cannot go on strike because the educational system...
I said it earlier on that the government must bring Labour on board to be involved in critical sectors like price control agencies, manufacturing associations, that will determine the packages, the welfare, the essential things that people need. And that's the area the government is
working with the cost of living index.
Yeah, index.
So we know exactly
that's the area the
what we're
government
talking about.
He has said, what he has said is right.
Sorry,
but that's the duty of the government to bring them on board
Mr.
or expand the scope.
Irewole, thank you for holding on. Good morning, sir. Oh dear. Mr. Joshua in Irewole. Good morning, sir. Thank you for holding on.
Yes, sir. I believe they are handling the matter well. I don't think I can appeal to labor not to go on strike. I think whenever they are tired, they want their own public holiday, they will declare strike. So we cannot tell them not to go on strike. But I want to believe they are still Nigerians.
Yeah, are you still there? Well,
To be conventional. Unconventional labor means corruption, using self-help to take themselves home. So this idea of self-help has been there from when I was born. Two names I was always scared to hear: Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and NEPA. We are not hearing NEPA much again. It's only
I see the line is fluctuating in and out. Thank you very much for calling in. Well, that's another thumbs down for labor proceeding on strike. You know, when you anyway.
So,
Yes,
like
even
I
though
was saying,
he came
that,
by way of sarcasm, but
yes.
he can't see the sense in going on strike.
Like I was saying, that it is a universal arrangement all over the world. Labor must also be able to get in tune with what is happening around the world. That in the rest of the world, what they do is to involve in those aspects of life that is not particularly on salary. So if they have that limitation, because of our legislation, government should widen that scope.
You know, we have
that they can also take part in so that will accommodate their right to intervene on issues like that.
I see Nelson maybe sort of disagreeing
The
slightly.
government does not have to widen any scope for them. Labor, what we are talking about is we are talking about the Central Labor Union now. They have different unions within the industrial sectors. The unions within the industrial sectors have a responsibility to raise up issues affecting the conditions of labor in those industries. Say, for example, in the aviation industry, if the conditions of service or the conditions of the working environment in the aviation sector is not palatable, we have a lot of unions in the aviation sector. Likewise, in the health, in the educational sector. But be that as it may, he has also spoken very well with regards to the living conditions index. That look, if we are talking about 30,000 naira, is this sustainable? The 30,000 naira, where can it take me to? How about government addressing the area of electricity, the area of security, the area of health, the area of education, and what
And
have you?
that's what Mr. George was saying.
Yes, I think it
are
is.
they striking for that? They're not striking for what is
yes,
important.
Yes, it is. That one is very, because it affects the person who is still in service. It affects the man who is out of service. It affects the young boy who is about to go into service.
Every Nigerian. One moment, please. I've got to bring in Austin in Manchester. Good morning, Austin. Austin in the UK. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Okay, very well, thank you. Go right ahead, please.
Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Very well, sir. Go right ahead, please.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I've answered you twice now.
Yeah. If I listen to the last two, I listened to the last two speakers. It's appalling that Nigeria cannot pay workers just only 30,000. I mean, they've been negotiating all the way to and then when the 30,000 to be paid for workers, they should measure it with what is happening in the world today, in other parts of the world. So I don't agree with the last two speakers. I support the strike the labor is about to go, because 30,000 is a no. It's good for Nigerian workers today. The government is always saying next year to what to the workers affect in Nigeria. I mean, they have to go on strike. We don't have good government in Nigeria there. 30,000 is not too much for the workers. God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling in. I suppose part of the complication here is that when you're abroad, when you're out there in the diaspora, and 30,000 is not even $100 yet. you know, you can see how they say
No,
for
but
a whole
Austin is not-
month,
Austin is
for a
not
whole
following-
month,
Austin is not
we
following-
can't pay that.
We
Us
need
is
to.
not following the trend of the discussion. What we are saying is that there's nobody that will be opposed to salary increase of guys who are in level 1 to 6.
In fact,
Nobody's
that's
opposed
already
to that.
Olokoba,
But our argument is
Olokoba,
that,
Olokoba,
wait,
hold on.
sorry, our argument is that the labor must go further than the demand for salary increase. In Manchester, which I go often, if you increase salary of worker in Manchester, the price of train doesn't go up. The price of house rent doesn't go up. And that the labor should emulate that and insist that that pattern should be followed in Nigeria. That anytime prices goes up, why must it be a step forward and 10 steps backward? That we must stop that trend where you increase salary and the 30,000 naira that can buy a bag of rice before, at the end of the day, will be able to buy a bag of rice.
No,
And that's the pattern we are seeing.
Olokoba.
And that
Olokoba, I think we need to educate Austin or inform him that there's no debate
About that.
30,000 naira.
Nobody's
You should
opposed
get
to
it very clear. What we are debating, what has become the source of conflict between the government and labor is the consequential adjustment. That if the minimum wage is 30,000, if a worker at level 15 is earning 56,000, the increment of his salary at that level should be about 29%. That is what we are. That is the area of conflict. We must make our people very clear about it. 30,000 is done and settled. It has been signed
and
into
not
law.
look at it as the percentage increase of 18 to 30%.
Yes.
Charles and Idimu, good morning.
Hey, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I've been listening to your guests in the studio and other contributors. Essentially, in this country, we stand the facts upside down. Just now they said that 30,000 is not the issue. But the issue is, this is not the first time that we're having salary increments. There are process for this thing that we're arguing now, if 30,000 is not the issue. So if those processes are there, if you bring it and put it on the table, then educate in Nigeria, we know who to support. This is not the time of bringing out facts, not unnecessary arguments. People are saying labor are not going, somebody called and said labor are not going to strike for road being bad. Is it the concern of labor to fix the roads or to ask for the road to be fixed? We have a government in power. The government in power should take responsibility of what they're supposed to do. And so that's not the point of labor. Labor has their own functions. If you don't know, go read the labor relationship. So
right.
if the government know that these are also challenges, they're supposed to factor it in and bring it on the table. They are only people. All of us who have a stake in what is happening in Nigeria. By the time they tell us, we have factored this into making sure that the roads are fixed, these are fixed, Nigeria don't have to take a decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Charles.
We also authorities on labor matters. And what we are saying essentially is that the scope of what labor does should be expanded. That's one. Two, there's a legislation that says that maybe for 4 years or for 5 years, salaries of workers should be increased.
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years, but I don't know how far we go in that direction.
Yeah, and that's
No,
what
we're in default. We're in default now.
that's what
labor
labor is hinging on. That there's a default
There's a
already
law.
that it should have been done twice or 3 times. But because of the situation in the country, which people always appeal to, that and this time around, there's the need to obey that law. That's what they are saying.
Yeah.
And I said, fine, that's okay.
Because part of the challenge is that labor will be observing that, as you're saying this, and I hear what you're saying, we were in default and all that, but there are other areas of our society that are not even the desperate sectors that have been following more or less, pari passu.
And that's what we're saying. That, okay, we agree with you. That's what we are saying. That there should be salary increase all the time. The reason why salaries are increased is for more comfort for workers. But are there more comfort for them?
Okay, let me hear from
Salaries are increased.
He is in Magodo. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
And good morning to Nancy and Razak there.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Nancy, you are one person I respect a lot. I've listened to you, even Razak as a person. Mr. Yori is one leader we all respect so much. See, let's not start whipping labor this morning. It's time and it's high time we tell this government to do things right. How do we live in a society where we understand that things are not what they should be, and we are keeping the facts aside and talking about labor did not do this, labor did not do that. What is the business of labor to tell the federal government that they should build roads before they know they will build roads? Why were they voted into power? And we should also understand that we are talking of salary adjustment, not that minimum wage, which is the minimum for the lowest paid worker. The question is that if the government keeps saying that there is not enough money to do that, they are talking about the personal costs and others. Yeah, somebody made mention of about what the National Assembly earn. Every day we keep talking about what the National Assembly earn. Have you ever think of what those in the executive earn? The allowances? Why can't these people cut down what they earn to pay the Nigerian workers? And people feel that when minimum wage is increased, that the people who work, they are less than 10%. That is not correct. These persons who also work, you people forget that in the kind of country, the kind of nation we run in Nigeria, is where people depend on people. So many families are dependent on those their families who work.
Okay.
So this is trickle down to the market woman, every other person.
Indeed.
So let's get this.
Ehi, we've run out of time, but we're so appreciative of your call. Thank you very much. And well, I just need to thank you guys too, because we've got to leave it here. They are meeting in Abuja with the minister and all the government officials, and so we're going to have to be patient to see what they come up with. But I think the minister has warned already that, we need to reach an agreement fast. It's bad enough as it is. We didn't even get to touch on that. The whole biometrics thing is threatening some people's Christmas Salah issue. Yeah. But let me thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Nelson Ekujimi and Razak Olukobo.
Thank you very much
for coming on. And that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.